Virginia's eastern shore along the Atlantic. Over 3 centuries, the people of this isolated area have created a society intimately connected with the water and its rich bounty. A fragile network of barrier islands is what blesses the place and gives it its special character. The marshes and dunes, plants and aquatic animals here long ago forged a unique partnership, making this an environment that teems with life. It's truly a national treasure. A case in point is Hog Island, one of the 13 barrier islands in Virginia that are part of the Virginia Coast Reserve, a project of the Nature Conservancy under the direction of naturalist John Hall.
The Nature Conservancy is a unique conservation organization because it seeks solutions to ways to protect things that are threatened. And it does this normally or usually by simply acquiring the property and then making the decision on who's going to be the best steward for the property.
But few Edens are perfect for long, alas, and the particular worm in Hog Island's apple is a growing herd of almost 100 feral cows, descendants of a handful that originally belonged to the people who lived on the island, people who moved back to the mainland 40 years ago.
The cows are grazing the salt marsh grasses behind the island. They're grazing the American beach grass that holds the dune system together. They rut the dune system, which helps the dunes blow away, keeps them from stabilizing. They affect the bird colonies by walking through birds that are nesting right on the ground, right in what's called scrapes, little nest sites right on the beach. And that's why we've got to get the cows off.
The solution was both obvious and whimsical: to import a team of cowboys for an old-fashioned 5-day roundup. Their first obstacle, Hog Island Bay, and transporting 7 cowboys, 9 horses, and 22 herd dogs across 12 miles of open water. Taking somewhat speedier transport to Hog Island are the 3 men behind this project: Phil Custis, local farmer and preservationist; E.B. Harris, professional cowboy and stockman; and Nature Conservancy's John Hall. Cowboys and conservationists are seldom thought of as partners, but it's a natural combination for bringing a 19th century solution to an unusual 20th century problem. Even for these eastern cowpokes, all are from North Carolina and Virginia, this is a powerful dose of culture shock.
This is my first time on the water. I live on Carr Lake, but never have spent any time on the water.
You know, some folks water ski. This is our house.
While they wait for the horsemen to arrive, Hall and marine biologist Mark Robertson use the time to outline strategy. The time of this cattle drive was selected with great care, just between winter departures and spring arrivals of migratory birds.
I think we're doing the roundup right at the right time because these birds are starting to pick out their nesting sites. What now seems to be an empty stretch of beach in the next few months will be the nesting ground for thousands and thousands of shorebirds. If the birds are disturbed enough, they'll simply abandon the area, and you won't have any reproduction of that particular species at all. And the Virginia Coast Reserve is one of the last places up and down the Atlantic coast that these birds have to nest. So if we even if we protect the islands, if we destroy the nesting sites out there, we're not doing our job. We haven't really protected what we're trying to protect here. There's some new grasses coming up here that they're going to be eaten first because they're tender and succulent, and
Yeah.
they really don't have a chance.
There's not any seed heads left in this area either.
No.
And they've eaten everything that, you know, the seed production of this whole dune.
You know, it's amazing. You look out here, it really looks natural. It's beautiful, but it's quite different than it should be.
Oh yeah, on closer look, there's just not the vegetation that there ought to be on these dunes.
When you compare it to the islands north and south, you can see the tremendous difference. The way the dunes build and just the height of the grasses. And
Come on. Let him jump on. The hopes are to get every cow off of Whole Island. Today we'll just probably be setting up, and then once we get the pens up and the horses bedded down a little bit and the dogs set, then we'll probably saddle up and go out and take a look at things, see where some cattle are. I figured we've probably got at least 20 or 30 head left out here. Some kind as high as 50 head. These cows are different than any other cows I've worked with. I've worked with cows since I was a kid. But my wife said these are Visa cattle. They all charge.
We're going to take and go and cover this block on the left-hand side of the duck pond.
Yeah.
If y'all will go beyond the catch pen before you ever start and work down the right-hand side in between the catch pen and the marshland and the duck
cowboy
pond
is a
on
free
south.
spirit. He's a man that, while he's out there with his horse, his dogs, and the cattle, he is in control freely and has nobody to look at but himself. He's his own judge and he makes his own decision. He has a lot of peace of mind. It's just a different kind of life. It's hard to put in words what a cowboy has really gotten it's in his blood.
Hog Island cows unfortunately don't herd. They prefer instead to wander alone, solitary and concealed within the island's wax myrtle thickets. Once the leopard stock dogs and the cowboys drive them onto the beaches, however, they're easy pickings. Cowpoking has looked exactly like this since its beginnings in medieval Spain. Exported to North and South America so long ago, it's always been a ballet of ropes, spurs, and saddles, horses, men, and dogs, all in unison.
Danny, can you pull this?
Move.
Would be, well, if you thought somebody was going to take you off your, what you've been grazing, you'd probably put up a fight too.
It's treacherous with these type cattle because all of them are hostile. Every cow here, even the calves, are hostile. And they want to come to you. And you've got to know, have a half a second make a decision which way to go, how much timing, and a cow like this, a bull like over here with a set of horns, he could gut a horse in just a matter of seconds. Cow savvy and cow catching run hand in hand.
It's been a long day. Like good buckaroos everywhere, these two are tired and hungry. Farmer Phil Custis has a special perspective on all this.
It's a whole lot tougher than planting potatoes. I planted over 200 acres of potatoes before I got here, and I feel a whole lot sore today than I did planting 200 acres of potatoes, I can tell you that. And that's not easy work.
Perhaps the most important aspect of Hog Island is the great salt marsh anchored to it. These meandering creeks fill with tide water twice a day, flushing tons of nutrient toward open water and into the food chain. In fact, an acre here is really a super protein factory, outproducing an acre of Kansas grain 100-fold annually. We all depend on this environment, and yet we've built on and thus destroyed so much marshland up and down the East Coast that our seafood harvest has dwindled to a fraction of its former yield. It's as a barrier island, however, that Hog achieves its stellar status. Barrier islands are among nature's finest creations. Their job is to absorb the ocean's power and might. Without them, the sea would constantly work its way westward, grinding away at the continent's edge. They're our first line of defense. Hog Island itself is wide in the north and narrow in the south. But every century or so it reverses itself. It's a natural process closely linked to the rhythms of the sea, storms and tides, wind and waves. But it's also a process that can play havoc with whatever man vainly attempts to build. The town of Broadwater, for example, on the south tip of Hog Island, was not so much washed out to sea, its sand simply migrated out from under it. Once a closely knit community of 300 families and an elegant resort, it is all gone now, a victim of natural erosion. The Bowen family, Marion Grafton and their son Roland, were forced from Broadwater to the mainland 40 years ago. Their family was also the first to import cows to the island back in the 1860s.
And then there was the store, which they had a home. It was on this side. It was on this side of the co-stars.
Paradise. The only thing difference in that things trouble was wrong with it, we didn't have no doctor.
Everything was nice. Of course, it's changed all over everywhere. I mean, other places too, as well as changing here. But in 1930, we had, I remember the houses being all here and high grown and pretty grass. In the summertime, it was green grass all around, and people had their yards nice and clean. I said, this is Broadwater. Where you're at is Broadwater. You were in Broadwater when you hit the land into the dock, the boat. And it's Broadwater all over, even in that ocean was Broadwater, and over a mile up was Broadwater. It was a nice place. I wish it was still like it, and I was still there.
Where the longhorn cattle feed on the lowly Simpson weed. Back in sleep out every night, and the only law is right. Back in
Now the focus of the roundup changes. Getting the few remaining strays corralled is all that matters.
Any of the cows do the same thing twice out here. And we start out with a plan A, plan B. We're down to Z6 or something now. Now, Hog Island is a teardrop-shaped island. The horses are going to be hidden in this area and back in the road. So hopefully the cows will meander out on the beach, and when they're far enough out, then the cowboys will come down on them and get between the bushes and the cows, and then they won't have any trouble with them once they have them. It's important that we make noise all the time, because the cows aren't scared of us. As soon as he sees that you're making that noise, he'll just turn around and walk right by you. But as long as he hears the noise, doesn't know what it is, he'll keep working away from us.
We've got some tracks and broken bushes, but we haven't done much looking for the bulls.
Are they going to keep on moving to the south end, over? Okay, I'll be on down.
Listen, we went all over the north, up and down both sides, and we're going to head south now. All we see is tracks and broken bushes.
You're coming down, Duck, Mom.
10-4 heading that way.
Hey, what ain't Daddy? Come out.
Don't get the satisfaction that I get. This is almost carrying you back in time from years past. And there's no job that I've ever heard of, seen anywhere in the world, than I'd rather be right here. You just couldn't put me anywhere else. I don't believe. I really don't. It's not a place in the world. I'd rather be. You couldn't carry me to the moon. I wouldn't trade it for any place in the universe. This is heaven here on earth. Catching cattle.
Hog Island and the other barrier islands that make up the Virginia Coast Reserve have the real spirit and character of a wild place. It's something you can feel when you're out on these islands. I think it's something that people really need. I think it has to do with our own survival. There's a special feeling when you're on an island like this.